Many trends are a distraction, and it takes a lot to avoid shiny object syndrome. So this is part 2 of a 2-part video series about some of the biggest lessons I have learned and picked up after 5 years as an Instagram strategist. In the first video, I talked through some of the biggest lessons as they relate to content, selling, and engaging. And in this week's video, I'm going to share some of the biggest lessons as they relate to planning, trends, and well-being. So definitely go and check out that video after this one. They're not in chronological order necessarily, but there was a lot of juice that I spilled in last week's video. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And just before I jump straight into the first set of lessons, do hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a new video when it drops to this channel every single Friday. And now, without further ado, let's get into the final 3 sections, the final 3 categories of lessons, which are planning, trends, and well-being. So the first planning lesson is that planning content will improve your relationship with Instagram. Why do I know this? How do I know this? Because if you are not in the habit of planning your content, then what you are probably doing at the moment is approaching every day on Instagram, waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting to think of an idea, create the post, write the caption, find the hashtags on an as and when basis, and doing that every day or every other day. That is incredibly draining, both in terms of your time, it's a big waste of time, but also in terms of your energy, because you're trying to use loads of different parts of your brain at the same time. You know, you don't necessarily use the same part of your brain to write as you do to create, as you do to plan. And so trying to do all of those things at once is really, really exhausting. I talk more about how to be productive in this recent video right here, about how to be more productive, how to manage your time more effectively on Instagram. And in that video, I do talk about batch content creation and how it is so valuable. So definitely go and check out that video after this one. But there is no doubt that when you are able to plan your content, it enables you to have a bit of distance between the content you're publishing and yourself, and that makes it feel less like everything is invested and your heart and soul is invested in every single piece of content you publish. But lesson number 2, as we know, planning doesn't just happen. You have to make time for it. You have to be very deliberate about putting time in your diary, in your calendar, every week or every other week to sit down and plan content. Otherwise, it just will not happen. When I worked for big digital marketing agencies 5 years ago, when I first started working with Instagram in a strategic way, planning content was a huge part of my life and of my schedule and of my work day and week. Planning content is so important, and that's why big brands put such an emphasis on it, because if they don't plan content, they can't effectively market their business. And obviously that's because they've got lots of stakeholders, they've got a lot of campaigns that they have to run. But the same goes even for little old you and me. If you don't plan content, it means that you can't be strategic. You can't really look ahead and think, oh, okay, this is my goal. How can I create content, and what content do I need to create that will help me achieve that goal? And last but not least, planning content is about more than just buckets, pillars, topics. Having content pillars or themes is a good start, but I argue that you need more than that to be really strategic on Instagram. You really want to align your content to your unique customer's journey. If you want to know more about how I do this and the strategy that I work with clients to achieve and implement, definitely check out this video after this one. I won't go into too much detail about it here, but just know that if you really want to get the most out of your content strategy on Instagram, going beyond buckets and pillars and themes, that's what's going to get you there. So the next set of lessons relate to trends, and the first one is that many trends are a distraction, and it takes a lot to avoid shiny object syndrome. I know, we all know, that it can feel really easy to think that to be successful on Instagram, we have to be jumping on every trend. We have to be trying that new content type. We have to try that new format. We have to try that new tactic. Otherwise, we won't be successful. And that simply is not true. It's really important just to be able to put the blinkers on and know, okay, that is a distraction right now. Or that trend, actually, that's something I should be mindful of. So to give you a real life example of this, video is not a fad, video is not a trend. This is increasingly how many consumers and and your ideal customers and clients like to engage with content. There's lots of stats out there, one of them being that video ads perform significantly better than static image ads. That isn't a trend that's going away anytime soon. And so if you are not factoring in lives or IGTVs or reels into your strategy in some way, then you are missing out and you are missing the chance to have the competitive edge. So being mindful of bigger sweeping trends like that, which are here to stay, that's important, but it's also important to try not to jump on things straight away like, oh, Clubhouse, oh, this, all that, you don't have to do everything. The second trends lesson is that trends will come and go, features will come and go, buzz and hype around different things will come and go, and it can feel a little bit unsettling for a day, a week sometimes. I totally know how that feels. Those things will come and go and they'll always happen, and I think in the world of social media that just has to be expected, but a really strong strategy that will stand the test of time. And when you have a really strong content strategy and marketing strategy in general, it means that you can weather the storm of any new thing that comes along, apart from the entire app vanishing, let's say. But even still, a really good strategy is quite transferable across different platforms. It just really is about having that robust strategy. And then when things like Reels come along, you can see how the Reels can apply to your strategy. So really get all your ducks in a row when it comes to your strategy. Don't stress too much about, ooh, should I be on this app or should I be using this feature? First, really understand what your strategy is, what your goal is, and then you can think about the different types of content or the different ways that you will bring that strategy to life. And the last lesson, which you might think is a bit contrary considering what I just said, is that it is important to take risks. If you are always the person who digs in your heels and says, I'm not going to do video, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to learn another thing, I'm not about that, I'm going to just stick to my guns and do what I know, you can't really do that in the world of social media. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to try things. Yes, learning something like Reels, it's a learning curve. It is for all of us, but it's important to recognize that if you just stay doing the same thing year in, year out, never trying a different format or never trying to engage your followers in a different way, then you will stagnate and it won't be very interesting for your audience, for your potential customers and clients either. So just be aware that taking educated, calculated risks is really, really important. And the last set of lessons is all about well-being. So the first one is take regular breaks. I take a break every weekend. I don't post to Instagram and I actually try not to pick up my phone much at all on the weekend. It doesn't always work, but I definitely don't post on Instagram on the weekend. I think because I work in Instagram, I am talking about Instagram all day, every day, I really need that downtime. And so when can you take a break from Instagram? If you have a plan in place, if you have a strategy, then taking the weekends off or taking, a certain time in the week off, that is not going to harm your strategy. It's not going to harm your growth or your engagement. It's only when you don't have a strategy that then disappearing off Instagram isn't the end of the world, but it will have more of an impact. So just have your strategy in place and then definitely take breaks. It's so important for you so that you can come back when the week starts again to be rejuvenated. And you can tell, your followers can tell when you have had enough, when you are drained, when you are exhausted. So make sure you take regular breaks. Lesson number 2 is that consistency is not the same as constantly. You do not have to be on your phone all the time to get results on Instagram. Like I said in the first part of this 2-part video series, the brands that I worked with 5 years ago, they are still posting pretty much exactly the same amount as they were 5 years ago. They're still posting the same in 2021 and they're still growing and they're still seeing success. Consistency is what is important, not being on your phone 24/7 and then burning out. That is just not necessary. You do not need to do that. And the final lesson is mute people that make you feel like poop. We all have that person, whether it is a friend, a family member, a peer, a competitor, an acquaintance, who we're thinking of when we're about to go live or we're about to show our face on Instagram stories. And in the back of our minds, we're thinking, oh, what if they judge me? What if they watch? What if they talk about me behind my back? What if they send me a snarky message? We all have those people who are stopping us from showing up as our full, authentic selves. And you don't need that on Instagram, okay? This is your platform. This is your place to be you. So mute them. You can go to somebody's profile, click the 3 dots in the top right-hand side, and then click hide your story. What this is gonna do is it's gonna hide any stories that you share from now on, as well as hide your Instagram lives. So that person will not be alerted when you go live. To them, they won't know anything's changed because they'll still see your profile, they'll still see your grid content, but they won't see your stories or your lives. This is a fantastic way of getting rid of any of that lack of self-confidence or that feeling of I don't want to show up because that person is lurking there, maybe watching me. Get rid of that, and then you can show up as your full, authentic self and feel good about doing that on a regular basis. And that's all for this week's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed part 2 of this 2-part The biggest lessons I have learned as an Instagram strategist for the better part of half a decade. Whoa, it's been a wild ride and I can't believe I'm still here. And every single year people say to me, what if Instagram disappears tomorrow? Well, if it does, we'll just evolve. We'll just keep going. We'll find something else to work on. I'll find a new business, a new business model. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a new video when it drops to this channel every single Friday. And just before you go, don't forget to check out video 1, part 1 of this video series if you haven't seen it already. And if you have, definitely check out this video here, which is some of my juiciest engagement tips for 2021 to warm up and convert more of your followers. I'll see you next week for a brand new video. Thank you for watching. Bye.